most important element of a successful analytics program is you should know what you want to do and why you want to do it. So when you are in a department and you would like to see, so let's see how do we really build analytics. So we take up the first one, the very important one that we normally people would like to nowadays look into is human resource department. So while we are into human resource things, so as patients, you have seen some Google analytics as you shared last time that you have been clicking and looking into it. There are interesting areas within the human resource that you could look as your analytical part. But while you move into it, what you see on the screen is basically some of the things that you should be having with you to make sure that your analytics is successful. So while I'm trying to do some kind of an HR analytics, I need to know what I want to do. That is my key metrics. So I should have my objectives, my backgrounds very clear. The why, while you are looking into your key metrics, you should be also very clear about two important sub points, which is like what is an importance of that analytics. We do not encourage any analytics which would just happen for the sake of the analytics. There has to be some demand within the company. There has to be some people who are going to digest the outputs, who are going to accept the outputs. And based on your outputs that you perform in the analytics, they are able to take some usage or they would be able to make some decisions and they take benefit out of it. The definition should be very clear. What do you mean by the definition in this analytics? Definition means if I'm going to apply certain analytics, what are my conditions? For an example, if I'm looking into hiring of my employees within the company, so I'm looking into human resource, I'm looking into hiring. There are a lot of systems in the world, PeopleSoft, SAP, Oracle, they have a lot of HR good things. There, when I'm looking into hiring, I would like to put some rules. Certain rules would be there could be employees who have been transferred from procurement to finance, finance to inventory, or to sales. If there is an internal movement of employees, that should not be treated as hiring. Because in the system, what happens if you release a person from finance and you move him to the inventory, the system will show this guy moved out of finance, would be like an exit, and he becomes an entry to the inventory. So that becomes as good as hiring. So we should know our definitions very clear. These are certain, excluding rules that while I perform, I exclude all these things because this is nothing but internal movement of my employees. So that is one. While you have defined your key metrics, you know the importance because there is a demand for it. The definitions are clear. That means your logics, your what I would say conditions, things have been well laid out. I need to know where is my data. So for performing all these things, now I target technically where my data comes. I get the data. And once I get the data, if you remember last class, I was teaching you how does analytics and cooking make sense. So once you get the data and before you submit your report, what is an important step you do?
Yeah.
That is a process where we say we do something called self-validation. We try to check ourselves. We are not presenting our report to our boss or the key stakeholders. We are doing a self-test. We are checking whether the logics are correct. You are right about what everybody said, matching your objectives, what you wanted to analyze, has it given you the right output? That technical process is called self-validation. So I would perform a self-validation or a testing of it to make sure, yes, everything is right. Once you get it right, you present the report, everybody is happy. Normally in the analytics, and people say, you have done a good job. Let's do implementation of it. Now, another question to you. So while you have documented your entire process, what logic you applied, technically what you used, what was your output in the previous things, everything you have done. And while doing all this, you go through a tough phase because there is always certain difficulties. There are certain challenges that you have overcome while doing it. I would love to mention even the challenges so that if any time in future, whether it's myself or my team members or new joinees or interns, if they get stuck, you have something called challenges paragraph, which will tell if you face these challenges, this is what exactly you are supposed to do. And that helps me out to find the answers. Or I can even write FAQs, frequently asked questions, which could be as good as my difficulties, and I have a solution for that. Once I made the library, so Patience rightly said that she will keep documenting all the analytics she does and make a good library for it. Then I move into implementation. And that means now I'm well prepared, my analytics is done, and now I'm putting as an implementation tool to you. So you come to reach to that level now. Now moving further, when I'm doing certain HR analytics, I am basically going to cover important sub areas. So these are some of the sample analytics as an HR guy you could think of, or normally corporates have been following it out. So in the HR department, they look into revenue per employee. What you mean by revenue per employee? Revenue per employee is that I take my total revenue of the company and divide it by the number of employees. So that basically tells you, is your company having a positive revenue or a negative revenue? So if you have a positive revenue and your revenue per employee is an amount which you can match with the cost of the employee, and you find that an employee is able to give you more than what you're paying to an employee or incurring in expenses, you are a positive organization. So I can do that kind of an analytics called revenue per employee. Then you have something called offer acceptance rate. Offer acceptance rate is normally companies look into that I have floated a job opening. So it is nothing but a number of accepted job offers of your company divided by total number of job offers given. A company floated out job offers of something called 100, and it has almost like 85, 87 of them have been picked up. The company says that means I'm good. People do want to come and work here. And if you have the lesser people picking up your job or accepting the offers that you are floating, that means there is some problem with the company or people are not interested. Or it could also be possible the profile you are looking, you do not have them in the market. It could be any way around. And trust me, in the analytics today, the situation is the third one. People are really looking out for people and there are not enough people. And even if you look international hiring of the employees, you would find in a lot of great economies of the world, whether it is US, Canada, or even Middle East, where they are very conservative in giving the visas to the expatriates or foreigners. Analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, these are still as a preferred kind of thing. So they say if you are going to hire people with this background, you will get the visa comparatively much easier than people who are coming from the conventional workforce. So that is what you call as an offer acceptance rate. Then you have something called involuntary turnover rate. What is involuntary turnover rate? Involuntary turnover rate is where you do not want the people to leave the company, but you find that the guys are leaving the company. Here, basically, HR looks into the average time an employee would be staying in the company. So you could always find out how many people opted of leaving a company, in what time period did they leave. Thereafter, you can even do further analytics. What are the reasons why people are leaving the company? As I was talking to you in my last week class also, that if I find people who left my company and also joined the same industry company, some other company in my same industry, he moved from telecom into another telecom, or from one bank to another bank. HR normally try to do a deep dive analytics. What is the reason? How can I retain? Because these are the people whom company did not want to leave. Then you have something called very interesting things now people are picking up is training efficiency. Now, how this analytics helps you, the training efficiency is, HRs are also not only involved in doing hiring jobs. This is not the only function of HR. That they do hire, appointment letters, appraisals, and that's it. HRs today are also responsible for making sure the employees are continuously being trained and upgraded. So they look into a lot of training programs, whether they are physical training program, they are virtual training program. I hope you guys would have heard about something called LinkedIn online training.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, now there are a lot of corporates where the HR department is signing with the LinkedIn and saying, I want a corporate deal. I have 10,000 employees, 7,000 employees, and I would love to train them. They send emails internally to the employees, depending upon their role, whether they are in finance, manufacturing, services, IT, and they tell them, for your role, for your department, please click here. You will see various training materials and training courses for your requirements. Feel free to choose it up. So they encourage the employees. You might feel like, I want to learn R, I want to learn Python, or I want to learn Power BI. So they can select the course and then they can start doing online training from LinkedIn. And they can even get certified also. So HR do tell them, please go for these kind of courses, clear your certification. And then there is a system where LinkedIn automatically keeps telling the HR, so many employees have taken up these courses, so many hours they have spent. Now what HR does? They said, good, we paid such a big amount to LinkedIn and we did all these courses for them. Let me see the efficiency of it. Have they benefited? So they conduct certain kind of analytics where they do the evaluation of the employees, how well they have gained, or if they have not, what are the challenges they faced. And if they say, no, we require some in-person classes or some special sessions, that is what HR does. If you find that post your training programs and whatever you are giving them, whether online or on site, the efficiency has improved. People are able to perform better. The output has increased. The time which was taken earlier and the time taken now by per employee on the job has reduced. Well, you know that your training is very efficient. So we can do something called training efficiency analytics. We can also look into the expenses per employee. The company has invested so much of money. At times, HR finds very amazing that I paid out something like $500 and this guy did not even take a single training program from LinkedIn. Why? So they like to investigate why people are not interested. Is the content not good or the trainers they are providing is not good because it's all online and recorded trainings? Or he has some different expectations. He's not able to get his answers. They try to look into this is an expenditure and what is an employee response. And then they'll also look for efficient employees who really spend considerable time and they are able to gain benefit out of it. And if they have those kind of things, the analytics tells them very important input, whom really you should award, whom you should give a bonus at the year end. This is your shining employee. The HR then draft a policy. These are my bright guys in the company. Let me focus and make sure they don't leave me. One reason is they are intelligent, no doubt. Number two, company has spent a lot of money, lot of effort in making them that good. So they would like to retain. That helps, this analytics helps them to make out a retention policy, how to retain the people in the company. Then they also look into something very interesting these days that is called time to hire. And what normally this analytics comes out at, it gives you a quantification. What is exactly a cost a company has taken to get a replacement? How much time it took? That means that many hours or days it has gone for the HR investing. It is approaching the candidates, making them taking the interviews, selected one, removing their doubts, convincing them to join you, and then finally your candidate accepts your offer. That is basically your time to hire. And it has been researched out to say that to replace any employee in a company, it may cost you, depending upon the position and things, the average cost would be between $20,000 to $25,000. That could be a cost. And that is why instead of going through that long tenure things, companies spend a lot of effort and time from HR how to keep the employees in. So this is a very, very crucial analytics nowadays. So it is an onboarding process, but it is time to fill is you calculate what is the time when you practically first time release the advertisement of the opening and till your final boarding. So that is the total time you have taken to fill it up. Time to hire is where you have approached the candidate and to the time the candidate has accepted your offer. So that is like a time to hire. How much time did you really take to finalize a candidate? Time to fill is when you started your first step of it and onboarding the employee. So that's your time to fill includes your time to hire. So time to hire is a part of the time to fill. Now in this, what is another way that normally HR does? When they are analyzing that there are certain, involuntary uh, turnover where people are leaving company, they do analytics of something called average life of employee in a company at every department and at every designation. Based on the current team and the average time they know the people would retain here and would leave finally, they try to calculate, okay, if it's like 1.5 or 2 years, average time people stay for 2 years. What they basically see, how many employees are there who are now getting closer to completing 2 years in a company. That raise a trigger to the HR that start planning your hiring now. Possibly you should be getting some resignations coming to you in next couple of days or months. So that analytics also become like a futuristic, predictive analytics that based on my past trend, if it continues, the environment is same. I have not done anything great to make the people happy here. So I should be getting a demand for so many replacements. So to save the time to hire or time to fill, HR can even start the process even before getting the actual resignations. You can always hire a guy, you can always put them on hold. You can always have you must have heard HR people have their database and things. So they keep storing over there how many guys are happy to join and what is the notice period they have to join us or they are immediate available. So those kind of linking of information through analytics can be put it into a smart dashboard and you could know that I am able to reduce my time to fill or time to hire. That means you are able to reduce your losses. So if your time to fill or time to hire has been shortened than before, you have got the replacements, you got the people back on the work, you have reduced your loss and your company continues to work as it was. Then you have something called voluntary turnover rate. Voluntary turnover rate is where, voluntarily, there is no reason about it, where, employer and employee both mutually agree it's a time to say bye bye. Unfortunately, like COVID, where, there was situation was such that people said, I can't help it. I don't have work. The employer said, let's have a pack a deal and then we can say bye bye to each other. So if you want to see what is your employment turnover rate, what would you do? I would look into how many people have left to the total number of people I have. And lesser that, the lower that number, the ratio, that means people don't like to leave, they like to continue. And if it is higher, that means most of the time people are coming or your business is so unstable that in between you keep coming out and saying, okay, we have to lay off 500 guys, 1,000 guys, let's plan a package, let's do some voluntary turnover and tell them bye bye. Absenteeism is how many guys are not working on your productive days. So we do have something called casual leaves, medical leaves, you would get sick leaves, half day sick leaves. There are so many ways people take the leaves and off. HR does that analytics to see how many guys, how frequently they have been exploiting or taking the leaves. So obviously there could be paid leaves, unpaid leaves. And if you have any employee who has been taking abnormally higher unpaid leave, that's a very, very dangerous thing because everybody needs to get paid. If they take a leave which is unpaid, obviously the guy is losing the salary amount. So it is very clear that this guy is working somewhere else. He has an alternate source of income. So it doesn't matter to him even if he or she loses his salary on the leave, sorry. So analysis of how many guys are being absenteeism is very important. And nowadays you have work from home.